Welcome back to China Price Watch. In today's Money Matters, we're talking about the large salaries of company executives. The U.S., like China, has seen many company executives earn salaries far greater than the rest of the company. Associated Press cited from salary research company Equilar, who said that the last year's large-scale U.S. company CEO earned $9.7 million a year on average, a 6.5% increase compared to the previous year. This is the third consecutive year for these executive salaries to have increased. Back in 2008 to 2009, when the global financial crisis happened, these CEO salaries continued to decrease. But then in 2010, it rose by 24%, and in 2011, it increased by 6% on average. Among these wealthy executives, Leslie Moonves, CEO of Columbia Broadcasting System, earns the most salary with $60.3 million. This number is far more than the second-ranked David Zaslav, CEO of Discovery Communications, whose annual salary is $49.9 million. However, according to the statistical data from the U.S. Department of Labor, the average annual salary for ordinary workers only increased by 1.1% in 2010 and 1.2% in 2011, and then a 1.6% increase in 2012, reaching to $39,900. This rate is even slower than the country's inflation. Compared to the U.S. listed companies, executive salaries that are highly linked with their company's financial performance, the senior executives in Chinese listed companies, have salary increase regardless of company's profit status. From 2009 to 2012, the salary of a Chinese listed company's senior executive saw a continuous increase from 2009's average level of $75,400 per year, suddenly to $97,000 in 2010, a whopping 29% increase. This might seem reasonable since that during the year, the country's listed companies' net profit saw a 78% growth compared to last year. But then in 2011, their net profits saw a 25% decline, and then in 2012, their net profits stayed the same level as last year's. Senior executive salaries still increased by 5% and 3% respectively. But by comparison, last year the total of 14.8 million ordinary employees among the 2,355 listed companies, their annual salary on average only increased by 2% to $19,270. An over $85,440 gap between ordinary employees and senior executives, and the growth rate for them is lower than the 2012 annual CPI of 2.6%. Listed companies have always been considered advanced management, creating business practices as well as sustainable development capability. These companies' ordinary employees typically should have higher salaries than non-listed ones. If their salary growth rate of normal employees doesn't surpass inflation, then income distribution system might need reform. Although slowed economic growth brings listed companies pressure on operations, this shouldn't sacrifice ordinary employee benefits. For the Chinese government, it is quite urgent to narrow down the income gap between different industries. The latest government work report mentioned that Chinese people's revenue would be doubled by 2020, but this still requires huge efforts in government reforms. Don't go away, because up next for our question of the day, we'll hear what Beijingers have to say about the salary gap between them and the company executives. Stay tuned.